With Brandon Williams re-signing with Baltimore and A.J. Boye moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, is there anybody left in the free agent market to maybe add some depth to a young secondary or help a struggling Dolphins run defense from a season ago? So that's what we're going to talk about today. And there is actually quite a few players left in free agency that are a little bit more underrated. So we're going to go through them right now. And coming up first is Benny Logan. Now, Benny Logan had a really underrated year last season. Fletcher Cox called him the most underrated player on a very good Philadelphia Eagles defense, very all-around. When they switched to a 4-3, that defense was really, really good and won them a lot of games last season. And Benny Logan, from all of his teammates, said he's one of the more underrated players on the team. It's one of the bigger reasons they were so successful last season. And if you put on game tape of him, he is a very he just pops off the screen. He really, really is. He's looking for a 1-year deal, so he'll be extremely cheap. In terms of play style, he's more of along lines of like a nose tackle, but a little bit more all around. He can rush the passer on a consistent basis, I would say. He gets after the quarterback. He's got some pressures. He's not like a Brandon Williams who is doing one thing good, but he's not also very good. He's not like good at rushing the passer. He's an all-around defensive tackle. He's really good against the run. I wouldn't call him an elite run stuffer because of his size. He's not as big as a Brandon Williams or a Dontari Poe, but he's a very solid rotational player that we could sub in on run downs if first and second down and our some of our defensive packages there. And I think he could replace that elemental role as a very solid rotational player, and he'll be cheap. He'll be very, very cheap. Moving on from Benny Logan, next on our list of free agents that are still left is Jonathan Hankins, the kid out of Ohio State. He was just drafted, I think, in 2013 in the second round. The New York Giants took him. He was never going to be good at rushing the passer, but he's a perfect nose tackle, your prototypical nose tackle, which teams are losing value for because they do not stay on the field very long, first and second down, and maybe even just first down, just because of how pass happy the NFL is. So he's going to be. Now, I have heard of reports of Jonathan Hankins being very coveted in free agency, so he might be a little bit more expensive than somebody like a Benny Logan, and I think Benny Logan is just probably the same exact player, but a little bit better, just a little bit better at pass rushing, I think. Jonathan Hankins, though, is an elite run stuffer. He's a great nose tackle. He would definitely help us in that role. He's a good 3-4 guy. He's not as good as a 4-3 guy, which is what we run. So he's not. I would put Benny Logan a little bit higher than Jonathan Hankins in terms of scheme fit. But Jonathan Hankins is a very good run stuffer. But I think he would fit a 3-4 system a little bit more than he would a 4-3. So let's move on from Jonathan Hankins. I think this is the most coveted defensive tackle right now, other than obviously when Brandon Williams got locked up, he was really the only one left. And Brandon, he does a lot of things way better than Brandon Williams ever did, and that is Dontari Poe. Now, Dontari Poe, first 2 seasons in the NFL, he had back-to-back 10-sack seasons. Since then, he really has not ever got back to that kind of production in terms of a pass rusher, but he's always been an elite run stuffer in the NFL. He's the fastest defensive tackle in the NFL. I think he ran a 4.95 at the combine. So he has all the athletic skills that you need in a defensive tackle. So he does fit that 4-3 system that we were in there. They were in a 3-4 in Kansas City. So he's an ultra versatile defensive lineman. So he's a scheme fit right away. And I think he's the best out of the two, Jonathan Hankins and Benny Logan. I've heard different reports on him about how much he's going to be asking for in free agency. He's coming off of a 1-sack season. Like I said, the production has fallen off since those 2 10-sack seasons. I think 2013, 2014 seasons, they have fallen off. But he's still an elite run stuffer, and he would fit right at home in right next to Sue. He clogs the lane, and he's very hard to move. And it would really, really help our linebackers getting through holes, especially Lawrence Timmons back there. So Dontari Poe would be an amazing signing if we got him. And like I said, I've heard conflicting reports of how much the market is for him right now, where his market is right at this point. I've heard that he's a 1-year deal guy. I've heard that he's a 3 to 4 year deal guy. I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. Like people always said about Alshon and Terrell Pryor that they're going to get big wide receiver money, and they didn't. So nobody really knows the market of Dontari Poe. But I would say he's a 1-year deal kind of guy, like Benny Logan, a prove it deal kind of guy. But we will have to see. So moving on from him. I think we should look into some cornerbacks. I think this is an interesting topic because we have a very young secondary, and while I'm happy with the corners that we have now, obviously Bobby McCain's the biggest question mark on the football team. And it wouldn't hurt to add some veteran leadership. And we're going to talk about one player who's been very good throughout his career. But let's start with a younger player that I think could compete with Bobby McCain in that nickelback role and push him to be a little bit better. Either that or he would win it because Nikel Roby Coleman, I always call him Nickel for some reason. It's really stupid. But Nikel Roby Coleman is a very good nickelback. I'm not gonna say shocked that the Bills cut him, because they used him differently than we would use him. He's definitely he's not a boundary guy. He's only 5'8", just like Bobby McCain. He's super athletic, really good man coverage guy. It's what the Buffalo Bills did a lot down there. They did a lot of man, and he was he excelled at it. But you put on tape of him, and they were matching up with players like Gronk, who's 6'7", who has no business being on Nickel. I don't know why. Like matchup problems like that I don't think would happen with our coaching staff. I don't think that kind of stuff would happen. So I think he's a better fit here than he was with Buffalo, and I think he could be a productive player for us. He's coming off of a high productive year. He had 2 interceptions, 7 pass deflections. He had 20 plus tackles at the nickel spot. So I think he could come in and compete for the job. And maybe even win it, and maybe be an upgrade for Bobby McCain. So last but not least, the kid from the University of Miami is Sam Shields. And if you're a Miami fan, a sports fan in general, Sam Shields, was a beast at DU. Was kind of a tweener player. They had to convert him. Didn't play a lot of corner in college, and then goes to the NFL. And does kind of the Tony Lippett thing, not as extreme, but still there. And then obviously had an outstanding career in the NFL with the Green Bay Packers. And if it wasn't for the weed charges and the injuries, then Sam Shields would be a very, very good player to add to anybody's football team when he's healthy. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. I mean, he's had seasons where he's had 4 interceptions, tons of pass deflections. He's a high productive guy, and we could fit him in that nickel spot to replace Bobby McCain if we did sign him. And he is on a 1 year. He is definitely, his market is very low right now. He would be a 1 year deal, prove it kind of guy to get that max contract. So if we could get him for 1 year, and he proves it again, that would be great. I think even we don't even have to start him on the outside. I think he would be a little bit more suited in the inside. But again, he's one of the best coverage corners in the NFL when he's healthy. And if he has the right mindset and he's not smoking weed and being stupid, I think he could be a very good Miami Dolphin returning to South Florida. So let me know what you guys think. I think there's even more players than that. Obviously, Dante Hightower is still out there. Nobody knows what's going on with him. And Zach Brown we're trying to get him in for a visit. I know that. Same thing with Poe, actually. He's on a long list of people that he's gonna visit, though. He's got like the Falcons, so many people he has to visit. So I wouldn't say that Poe's gonna be a Dolphin, but he is coming in for a visit. We're gonna try to get him in for a visit too. So that's gonna be it, guys. I am Skagster1083. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next one.